Okay, this is week 2 of the Waterford Wednesday Criterium series. In week 1, it was a very small field due to inclement weather. Only 10 people in the Cat 4-5 race. In that race, my teammate ended up taking first, and I took second. Really was a great first race for me, just in terms of small number of riders, and we were able to do quite well, which unfortunately kind of gave me a false sense of confidence going into the second week. The weather still wasn't great this week, but ended up with about 25 riders showing up, and we'll kind of cut throughout the race with various mistakes that I made. Certainly wasn't the same level of success that I found last week, and just want to highlight some mistakes and hopefully highlight some successes as well.
All right, we're good. Okay, we're gonna go on my whistle. Riders ready?
Okay, so we'll fast forward through this race here in a second. Just wanted to pause here and talk about the wind. So as we come around this corner, the wind is coming directly from the east to the west. So where you see this wall, the wind is coming directly out of there, from the left to the right. And so really just a constant theme throughout this race was me being really uncomfortable getting into the pace line, staying right in the peloton, and really being the person who ends up eating a lot of the additional wind, kind of being out of the right position. And so again, here it doesn't affect so bad much because the wall is there blocking some of the immediate wind, but really throughout the entire course where there's a straightaway, I seem to always be kind of on this side of the track, eating that wind. Okay, we've jumped ahead a little over one lap here, and we have the first attack of the day. The attack's coming from Jason, my teammate. He hits it, and definitely a stark contrast this week versus last week. Last week, the only attacks came from Jason. Jason attacked it, and it stuck pretty quickly. Here, what we see over and over again is a set of attacks, and really none of them stick. So here, Jason went, but the group chases him down pretty quickly. And what we'll see on the left side then is a very quick counterattack. And this one actually does look like it might go immediately. So really, he goes. No one immediately responds. People are probably tired from chasing Jason down. And so it starts to string out a little bit here. And here I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's going. But then you just see people kind of put down some power. Jason did end up kind of re-attacking for a second there to close that bridge. And it's going to end up coming back together. Now, kind of thinking back, having Jason first attack, I should have been a little more ready for this counterattack. Again, just kind of a learning process for me. And so when your teammate attacks and everyone surges, be the one who does the counterattacking, or be ready for someone else to do the counterattack and follow them, so you can be there in case that second one splits. Again, really none of these attacks end up really going anywhere. So, in hindsight, happy I didn't waste any energy. But once again, just kind of a learning exercise for me to know to be ready. So here's a kind of a third attack where people went for a second, and I made that one. I made sure I was on, but really the whole group ends up being right behind me. And then something else to notice here is, here's a spot where there's really nobody to my left, nobody to my right, and I really am fully comfortable sitting on this wheel. I get quite close, just within inches. Okay, here I'm a little bit off to the left, but here, now I'm sitting in. I feel fine. It's really only in those moments where there's somebody, right on my left, right on my right, right behind me. I tend to kind of bump off the pace line and don't want to follow those wheels. But here, really have no issue with that. Again, he's putting down good effort, trying to make that brake stick. Again, I think everyone's right behind us. So he ends up taking this pole around to the start-finish line and pulling off. And I immediately pulled off because, again, everyone's right behind us. And I'm not looking to do any effort. So I just try to get back to being mid-pack for this race, until the sprints. So we'll jump ahead. Okay, we've jumped ahead about 2.5 laps, and we're now in the bell lap for the preem. And so the rider here in front of me is in the front. He went a little early, not super hard, but I wanted to make sure if he was trying to do some sort of breakaway, I was at least there for it. So, here he settles a little bit back down, and so I think we're good. But then as we turn this corner, he kind of hammers it again. So again, I just stay with him up this rise. Just want to make sure that I'm in front for this. Oh, we'll probably talk about this again here in about half a lap or 3/4 of a lap or so. But in my mind, the preem was really for getting the $10 or the beer or whatever the preem lap's for, and not really anything strategically for the race. I just wanted to have fun. I thought the race was pretty easy up until now, so I thought I'd just go for it no matter what. Now you see is as we came down, he slowed down, and my teammate Jason and one other rider slide underneath us. I thought they were going to go for it, so I kind of going easy here. I mean, I can anyway because I'm sitting in the draft, but I thought he was going to hammer it to try to do a breakaway for the preem. Really didn't end up going super hard here, and so now I'm sitting in fourth wheel, which kind of overall is where I would like to be going into a sprint. I do see, one rider, and I think maybe a second rider here. Or maybe this rider just goes to the left. But, one more rider comes through. So just want to make sure that if anybody's trying to break away for that sprint point or, that $10 or the beer or whatever, I'm there for it. And so kind of slide over. Jason lets up a little bit. And now the same rider that went for it early starts to go again. And so I ramp up my power again. I want to be fourth wheel, so this is working out really well for me. We're going to come around this corner again, just kind of right in perfect position, able to sit on that wheel, feeling pretty good about myself right about now. Things will change pretty quickly, so trying to enjoy that moment while it lasts. Alright, so here as we round this corner, it's definitely a corner I'm still not quite used to. It's way longer than I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to hit the sprint right away, but you can see I bump off way to the right. I'm not in the draft anymore. I'm using too much energy, kind of in the 600s when I could be much easier. We're still turning, and I haven't opened up yet, but I'm also not getting any draft. Now we're going to come to that final turn, the real turn into the sprint, and I still haven't hit it. I still have not put the power down, and then I finally do way too late, ended up missing the preem right here. Missed it by just inches. Alright, I'm going to turn the volume up here so we can hear what happens, and then let's talk. Okay, so this is where inexperience shows and mistakes were made. So what you heard was the people in Peloton going, let's go, come on. And the fact is by doing the preem and the individuals who went for the sprint, we ended up splitting the field into just 6 people. And what you can see is I was not ready for that. I had totally throttled down to 0 watts, and when everybody went past me, just kind of having to hammer it again to try to catch back on, and then hammer it again to try to catch back on again, I was just dying. My heart rate wasn't at max for me. It's high. 170 for me is quite high, but I can get to 176, 177 usually, and if I'm all out efforts and not hitting 171, and so I'm just doing everything I can here to try to hold on. Now that I know that there's been a split, but I'm exhausted. I just wasn't expecting it mentally. Physically, I would have kept the speed up a little bit through that corner instead of throttling way down had I known it was coming. And so you can see there's a little bit of a split here again. With 2 riders, and we're trying to get back on. I feel like I'm absolutely redlining here, but I'm trying. The guy in front of me certainly trying as well. But I'm not going to be able to get back on. And I forget. I think maybe we catch on and then I still get dropped because I'm dying right now. Yeah, and kudos to the guy here in front of me doing all of the work to get us back on, and he does. He successfully gets us back on, and this is exactly what you want, right? Put in a great hard effort, split the field, and really be in a position with the limited field to end up winning. And as a bigger guy for me, at this point, I'd love just to sit in the back and wait for that sprint and really have a small field to go against. So it really is just a great position. And had I known that this is kind of what would happen in one of those sprints, I probably could have played a little bit better and not died. But here I am. I'm dropped. I just felt like I was dying. It really sucks. And so here it might take just a couple seconds, you'll actually see Jason and another rider come by, and I try to jump onto them. I really feel bad for Jason. Jason held up during the break because I was in it. He didn't want to chase it down, and so now he's not in the break because he let me be in it, but I was not able to stick to it. So it really screwed him over, and that certainly sucks. Not something I was looking to do, and definitely a learning opportunity for me. Yep, and here comes Jason and the other rider. And now, I'm hopeful that I can get on their wheel. I'm able to recover. I can sit there. And, Jason's strong. I'm fairly strong when I'm not dying, so if I can recover, I could certainly help out. But 3 of us could potentially chase down that group at this point. So I'm hopeful, but I honestly, I think I get dropped right here again. Maybe it's a little bit longer, but I think it's going to end up being right here. That I'm not recovered enough. And we're not doing big watts. I'm doing 218 watts for me, which is nothing. It ramps up for a second. Going up the hill, it has to, but these are not massive numbers. My heart rate's already back down to 158, so there's just no reason why I wasn't able to drop an F-bomb right there. Because I'm just done. I just get dropped. And again, this just if anything, I just feel bad for Jason. Jason probably could have been in that front group right here, but now he's on an island with one other rider. You see, I'm out of it. I just almost ran off the road. So one guy roots me on here, and I try to hit it so we can all come back on. It's just time to get back into the race and try to find a group and keep racing. Okay, so we've skipped ahead about a lap. Now the rest of the field is all together. So we have 6 guys up front, and then we have Jason and one other rider, a group of 2 in between, and then we have this group. And so there had been multiple attacks throughout the race thus far, and none of them stuck. So even with the split, I'm thinking I can sit back here. I'm not going to chase my own teammate for the most part, but this large group of still about maybe 18 riders you know, 15 to 18, could still chase them back down. We still have quite a bit of time left in the race, and so, you know, my whole strategy now is just to sit in and hope that that group can chase everything back down. And if they don't, then Jason still has a pretty good, you know, top finish. Maybe he can chase down that front group, just the two of them. You know, not really seeing that here. Just can't look that far ahead from where I'm at, but you know, hopefully that's happening, and I'll just ride in here. The group's really not going very hard though, and so it really only takes about a lap or two to realize that we're not going to chase them down, and so at that point, really what I'm going for is the field sprint. So we'll jump ahead a little bit throughout the race. We do put a little bit of a rotation in, a little bit of a chase, and we'll kind of talk through what I was thinking there or not thinking. And then we'll jump after that to the end of the race. Okay, so the group's organized itself a little bit here, and we started to put some efforts in and get a rotation going. Interesting, the guy in the front here is the U of M rider. He does have a rider up in the front group, a pretty strong rider, so I'm not really sure why he's doing any of the pulling, but you know, he pulls off, I pull through. I don't put in much of an effort, so I'm, you know, below threshold right here because I also have a rider up there, and so I'm not looking to do massive digs. And you know, I pull off, and then here as we get into the straightaway, I drop and let them go ahead of me. So really, we end up doing this rotation for a couple of laps, and I really didn't know, you know, should I be putting in the effort or not. So there's a group of 6, and you know, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, and so you know, without this group's help, I don't see Jason getting onto the podium. I don't see myself getting onto the podium. So that was kind of my rationale for doing some polls and trying to bridge up to Jason. But alternatively, if you kind of think top 10, Jason had a guaranteed, really, you know, 7th position, maybe 8th if he lost the sprint at the end with the guy he was with. And so by bringing all these guys, it could have knocked both, you know, him and me out of top 10. And so, you know, we talked afterwards, probably didn't need to make these efforts at all. Could have, you know, skipped the polling, let him have his guaranteed 7-8. But again, I really, throughout this rotation, I was always just thinking about top 3, and maybe if this group got to him, we could all make it back to that top group and sprint for the finish. You know, another learning experience here. I probably should have just sat back the entire time. Okay, so we've skipped ahead about another lap and a half, and we've entered into the final lap of the race. So I'm sitting here. This guy kind of hammered it right across the finish line. So again, I have enough energy at this point after sitting in that pack that, you know, just anybody who seems to do any sort of attack, I'm just going to follow it. So, you know, jumped on his wheel just in case he wanted to do something crazy. But, you know, we settled right back down. So not quite where I want to be at the end of the race, but we still have a full lap to go to get in the right position. You know, I want to be 4 or 5 unless somebody, again, attacks. Then just want to be on their wheel. So coming up here to the hill on the course, so, you know, another spot where you'd see somebody just fly around us and make an attack. So I'm trying to be ready for that. Again, not going super hard here. Again, you know, he's looking, I'm looking, just, you know, who's going to attack, who's going to go. And up over the edge, you know, you don't see anything. A little surprising, again, given that for the most part, outside of 4 or 5 people, there weren't that many doing the rotation to try to get back, so there should be quite a few fresh legs in there. We're coming down again, another spot. I guess here there's a headwind, so not a place you'd maybe see an attack today, but you could see people, lolling on the downhill and somebody attacking, but nobody going. All right, and so now here we go. Here we have our first attack of the lap. They're gonna go hard. I go to follow them, and it was a good hard surge, but then he just sits right up. So it wasn't a big enough attack really to split the field here, and he really settles down, and then people slingshot past him. Maybe that was his goal, create a gap and then sit in, but definitely as an attack, kind of just got us ready, got my legs tingling and ready to go from that first surge. So yeah, now we're really coming into that back stretch before it, and I'm sitting second wheel. In a bunch sprint, I'd want to be about fourth wheel, but again, just waiting for somebody to attack, and I'm just trying to watch. And so here we go, now off the right side. Same guy's going to attack again. He's going to go hard, and so I'm going to go around our guy to the left and just try to sit on his wheel, and he goes hard. It's a great dig. So, I'm trying not to sprint here, but I'm kind of just off his wheel enough that I'm not really getting any draft from him, but I'm staying close enough. Really wish, if I could have gotten a little closer to him, it would have been even easier. Now we're going to come around that big sprint, and, as we come to the straightaway here, this last little tiny bend, I feel good, I'm close enough, and we're going to go, and right here, I need to hit it. I really don't hit it anywhere near as hard as I'm capable of. It ends up being enough, though. I'm going to cross the finish line, and I won the bunch sprint. So, ended up finishing 9th in this race. Jason ended up finishing 7th, so we did both end up getting top 10 in a field of about 25. Again, mistakes were made. Jason probably could have been easily in that top group if I wouldn't have gone. Probably would have done better. Had I known that was going to split the field, I would have conserved energy or done something. I think, maybe not. Maybe no matter what, I just couldn't stay in that front group. But yeah, I really should have been in that top 6 as well, top 7. So all learning experiences, and just try to do better next time.